Hey everyone. I wanted to make a couple videos to walk you through the math for today because I was gone last week, and it's just the last two lessons of the chapter, and there's kind of a lot going on, so I wanted to make sure that you had someone walking you through it if you needed help. So the first problem is this one in lesson 626. We're only working through, there's a kind of a bunch of subproblems, but really three problems. And this first one is an example. So um, if you read this, it says, many students believe that every equation has only one solution. And you may have noticed in the intro lesson, it had these people, Annika and the brother, and since one was older than the other, they'll never be the same age. So that was an example of equations that actually don't have any solution, because if you are trying to find like some way to make them both have the same age, it's impossible. So this says here, for each of the following equations, you trying to figure out if all of these here have one solution, that's like x equals 3 or x equals 4, something like that. No solutions, so like this example above where you have siblings, so they'll never be the same age, so that's something like that. Or all numbers are solutions, or infinite solutions. So if you want to try and figure it out yourself, you could pause this and take a second, but otherwise I'm going to show you right now. So the way you could do this is, here's everything worked out. I did this earlier, I did this today/yesterday for the other classes. So when you're going through these problems, you can always tell if they have infinite solutions because it's an example like A. See, A, you have x equals x. So it doesn't matter what value x is. It's, if this is your equation, then if x is 5, because x has to be the same thing, you'd end up with like 5 equals 5, or 10 equals 10, or 20 equals 20. It doesn't make any difference what it is. So you can put any number here, and the other side would be the exact same number. So there's infinite solutions to this equation. Because remember, all an equation means is this side equals this side, and we're trying to figure out how many solutions there are for x. Like, what number could x be? And in this case, x could be anything. When they move on to b, you have x plus 1 equals x. One way you can figure out how many solutions there are is actually just solving it. So if you did, like subtracted an x from both sides, they both have an x in common, so you can remove those, and that gives you 1 on one side and 0 or nothing on the other side, because x minus x would be 0. So 1 cannot equal 0. There's no number that you could put in for x where it would magically make this side equal to this side. So it won't ever work. The other thing you can think of is it doesn't make any difference what number you put in for x. You're always adding 1 to one side, so it's always going to be unbalanced. Sometimes you can actually just solve them. Like in this case, see, you have x equals 2x. Well, you could subtract x from the left side here, subtract x, that would be 0. And you could subtract it from the right, and then you end up with x equals 0. So you know the solution is 0. With D, this is x plus x equals 2 plus x. You could subtract an x from the right side, so you only have the 2 on the right, and subtract one of these two x's from the left side, and it gives you x equals 2. So this one has one solution. E also has one solution, because you could, this would be like 2x over here. X plus x is 2x, but x minus x, think of this as 1x minus 1x. One of them minus one of them would be 0. There would be nothing. So 2x equals 0. You could divide these both by 2 to undo this and get x equals 0, or just think, 2 times 0 is 0. So 0 is the solution to that. I have to move this down a little bit. Sorry. These ones both have infinite solutions. The easiest way to figure out if they're infinite solutions is if at any point in time the equation looks the exact same on both sides. 2x equals 2x. This is the same thing. It's like the first one. It's the same on both sides. So you're looking at the same thing. So of course these are equal. So it wouldn't matter what number you put in for x, it would be equal. Both sides would be equal. So there's infinite answers. This one might be a little bit tricky, but x times x, that is what x squared means. That they're both x squared. So there's infinite solutions because they're both the same. And then h, you could subtract an x from both sides. They both have an x, so you could subtract an x from both sides. You have -1 on the left, and this would end up being 0 on the right. And -1 can't equal 0. So this one has no solutions. Yeah, there you go. And from now you can move on to these other problems. I'm going to make a separate video going over all these.